iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
The space dogs of the Cosmodrome. The space dogs of the Cosmodrome. The space dogs of the Cosmodrome. The space dogs of the Cosmodrome.
Nick, Van, thank you so much for joining iHeartRadio Broadway today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. It's very exciting to be talking about space dogs with you.
So we are here to talk about space dogs at MCC. And I have to say, when I got the pitch for the show on paper, you kind of go, what is this? And then you walk into the theater and you have a blast, literally, no pun intended, for 110 minutes with the two of you. So Van, I'm going to start with you. How did Space Dogs come to be?
Well, let me take you to the very beginning, which is a YouTube rabbit hole around midnight 4 years ago, I guess, maybe even longer. And I was just researching things that I would perhaps want to write a show about. And I've always loved space. Somebody reminded me the other day, Nick, that I received a telescope on the American Idiot Tour 10 years ago. So space has always been in the ether.
Yeah.
But dogs in space was even more niche and even one more layer in. So I started there and uncovered the incredible story of the dogs that were trained by Soviet scientists in the 50s. And then I researched a couple books, one from the American side of the space race and one from the Russian side. And I started thinking about putting yourself in the position of the actual people in the situation and what is the story, you know? So Nick and I started talking about it, and he famously said, is this the first thing we write together? Because we had been friends and we'd been collaborators as actor-writer and also musical collaborators. But yeah, we started talking about our affinity for dogs, and Nick actually had a space dog.
Sure did. Leo McGarry is my beloved dog who sadly passed away.
Who was with us while we wrote the whole thing.
He was sitting right next to us. It's totally dedicated to him.
Wait, question. What was the dog's name?
Oh yeah, you heard right.
From like West Wing?
Yeah.
The chief of staff.
That's amazing.
The best.
Really, really great. I mean, you know, I feel like dogs are this just inexplicably deep love across humanity that, you know, we all sort of know is like way deeper than it sort of seems like it would be on paper. Like it's very much, it's not a child, but it's very much in that same depth. And Van had a beautiful cat for many years, Trish, who the show is also dedicated to. Just something about that kind of telepathic relationship that when Van started telling me this story about the scientists, it was like, wait, like they had that relationship with these dogs. And especially the man that Van plays in the show, the chief designer, whose name was not revealed to the public until 10 years after his death because of the secrecy of the Cold War. His relationship with Laika, the dog that went up, that changed the entire world, the first living being in space, you know, that was this kind of, oh my God, treasure trove of different like sort of comedic elements, and then also, you know, deeply emotional elements about what it must have been like to send your best friend to space, knowing that they really didn't have an understanding of what that decision, you know, entailed.
Well, and even just talking about it, I mean, for people that don't know about this musical, just the basic conversation about it, you kind of go, wait, how is this a musical? But then when you actually step foot into the theater, it's very much rock musical meets TED Talk meets kind of like a college lecture at some point. So
Cool.
I'm curious how it was kind of taking all of those elements to turn it into a two-person rock musical.
Well, Nick and I, like I said, we had been musical collaborators before, and so we already had a feel for each other's tastes, and we like a lot of different genres. And we're just very expressive people through our art. That's what we do, right? We're artists. So our language back and forth is to like joke with like, I'll sing it this way, you sing it this way, right? So it's so easy to write in that way. And I think where it started was I started telling Nick the story, and I was so excited. I'm breaking the fourth wall immediately to tell the story to him to make sure he's getting it right. And so he started writing exactly the way I was talking it in the beginning, just to get our rhythm and just to get something down.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff still remains, and a lot of that stuff has been adapted into what we needed the show to do for the production. But that was our original style. And we said, like, could we do something that feels like a new form and feels like we're jumping from genre to genre, not just musically, but also theatrically, right?
Well, and I think the other thing that makes Space Dogs work so well is it's not a cast of 10, it's not a cast of 50. It's literally the two of you playing every single character. So you, as an audience member, go on the journey with the two of you, and you're like, well, what's going to happen next? What outfit are we working into? What side of the stage are we going to for a green screen moment? So I'm curious why you decided to keep it as a two-person musical and to literally build stamina to get through this show on a nightly basis.
I mean, honestly, it's like the thing told us what it wanted to be. Like, it just from the beginning, right when we sort of cracked, like Van was saying, the tone of like, what if this was just like building off of the song that you think of when you think of the subject, without trying to write like the best song of all time and holding yourself to some commercial standard, like the dog is just like, it's like the line between totally stupid and exactly right is the place that we've been living. And I mean, I think that sort of just plays into the form content conversation of it all, that like that it's absolutely absurd that people sent dogs into space as like the test animals for humans, but there's a lot of really interesting moral questions in there about like, what was it better? Should we have sent a man first? Like, all of that gets very serious, right? And so that tension became really fascinating. And
the
then,
toxic masculinity
yeah,
that is fueling all of that, and how comical that is. And you don't even have to say what's going on today with Russia to be thinking these parallels.
Absolutely.
We just tell the story of the Cold War, and it's just like very obvious that a lot of the things are still true.
And if you don't walk out of that theater learning something that you did not know about the race to space or the Cold War or anything along those lines, I guarantee you will learn something walking out of that theater.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, we learned it all, right? Like, that's the thing. It's very much, as Van was saying, like we're relaying what we learned, and sort of saving you the time from having to go on the rabbit hole that we went on for the last 4 years. But like, to answer your initial question, I think there's also just something really interesting about the duality of two people and the way that like we can be entire countries that way, and then we can be entire species that way. And you can see the interplay shift in such fun ways. I mean, it's in a way, like, I think we did have an initial conversation way back of like, oh, what if there was an ensemble? Like, I remember having,
what would this show? Yeah, how could it be? Yeah.
And it's like, that's a fun idea, but I think there's also a piece of it that, to be honest, like, we were both a little sick of trying to make things that cost, a ton to pull off. It's just like a lot, just practically, theater making is really hard and really expensive, even in a 2-person show. And we just wanted to do something that we could actually do. And so the fact that we're doing this like big honking production at MCC is like sort of a cherry on top of an experience that was really made just so we could, we started this show in a barn in Maine,
right?
With a 60-person audience, and like it was valid there. And that was so cool. That was like, oh, what's really going on here is transference of, you know, emotionality and information that is like fascinating to everybody, us, you know, included. And that just changes the rules of like, oh, is this good or not? Like, we're not even trying to like play by that. We're trying to just be in dialogue with the audience, you know, that loves theater the way that we do, that loves strange facts the way that we do, loves music the way that we do. And so it's really been a great guiding star through this process as we've, you know, started working with bigger budgets and an amazing team of people who are bringing it to life at such a ridiculously high level. All of that is really icing on, you know, what is the central cake of dogs going to space.
And I will say, to see the photos of the original production, which is basically underneath the set of stairs, to where it is today, is very cool. And I think that's a testament to MCC working with the two of you and your creative team. So Van, I'm curious, why is MCC the perfect place for Space Dogs to have its New York City premiere?
Well, first of all, we've known Bernie for so long, and he started both of our careers in the sort of commercial Broadway musical ensemble world, and Hairspray for me, Crybaby for Nick, and just along the way, you know, has helped me so many different times. I'm in both Sex and the City movies because of Bernie, you know. Those things still have residuals, believe it or not.
Yeah, especially now, and just like that.
I know, right?
Yeah, I need to get on that one now, just to complete the trilogy. But first off, he's just been such a champion of our artistry throughout the years as actors, and now to be doing something at his theater. And when we went to even go do the reading after they had read the script, like Bob Lapone's like, "Hi, I'm Bob Lapone. I love your play." You know, it was like day one, they were just so on board. And I do think it's another answer to your question before, why we got it made, because it did look easy to them. They see like two guys that can do all of these things. They're like, they keep checking in. Are you sure you can do the orchestrations, the music direction, play all the instruments, do all, you know? We're like, yeah, and we've got most of it done already.
Work all the puppets, everything.
Right. And then they're adding, you know, the budget to have theatrical layers like that. And Amanda Villalobos, that is our puppet designer, and all the props, every little gadget that is happening on stage, she made.
And I do want to talk about that for a second, because it is the things that happen that are surprising, and the things that, you know, come down from the top of the theater, or when you move to the side of the theater, they're all such seamless transitions, but they're still surprising at the same time. It doesn't seem like a gimmick, which I think is really hard to do. And I think that's a testament also to your director, Ellie, for working everything out together.
No, Ellie really pulled off a magic trick. It just in the way, you know, speaking again about form and content, this idea of invention, you know, and like what it takes to do something like go to space, all the omelets and eggs, right? And all of the trial and error, and the idea that Sputnik, you know, was essentially created in 24 hours is just such a mind-boggling thought, that she has found a way to integrate into the storytelling, and that we're constantly opening drawers and doors that reveal these other worlds. And it's just, you know, it's exactly what was in our imagination, in that we wanted this thing to feel like, you know, it was relatively unassuming when you got there, and that it would then continue as we go deeper into the story, you know, you follow with us. And in some ways, we almost leave ourselves behind in that, and like become the dog and the scientist, and the show becomes a play in a way that, you know, is sort of not what we're selling at the top. And that's a testament to her and to MCC, who just gave really good notes all the time. And they really wanted it to be what it, you know, wanted to be, rather than turning it into something else. And
right,
that's, you know, that's the scary part about collaborating with a big theater that has an amazing track record like MCC does. But our tastes, as you know, we were talking about before, like we just align. And Will Cantler, is the third of that triumvirate. And Ayanna Parker Morrison is sort of our like line producer on it, and Scott Galina. These people are giving really good ideas. And so the talks after the show, like we were like delirious at them because we're just had done the show, but it was so cool to then be like, okay, well now let's talk about it as writers and like figure out how to make this part easier or make this part land, or, where is it getting too much? Where is it not enough? And balancing those scales, like from design and production down to the script and the performances, has just been this like, it's been a total joy the whole time.
Again, I think this goes back to the top of the interview. You're not taking yourself seriously, but you're taking yourself seriously. And the fact that you're allowing the audience to come in along that journey, I think is what's truly fantastic, because I think this would be one thing if you're in a 450 seat theater and it was stone silent throughout the whole entire thing, but you're allowing the audience to go on that journey with you and to be a part of it.
I love that you're saying the word journey. I mean, that was the goal from day one.
Yeah.
Is to really just take an unassuming beginning and go somewhere with it.
Go to literal space at the end.
Exactly. You can go to MCC's website to buy tickets. I implore you all, please go see it. You literally will have a blast, the 110 minutes that you were in that theater. Nick, Van, thank you so much for joining me today. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Sarah Jane. So awesome.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.